I would like to know if hair transplant due to traction, alopecia.
I might have to get a hair transplant and was wondering if it's okay to have the areas of baldness undergo the transplant. I'm not likely to be transplanting hair to lower my hairline lower than it was originally. Thank you. And in this question, and he is asking about the ruling on hair transplantation. Is it permissible any in Islam and or not permissible? Yani it depends. If a person in a state, if a person is suffering any from a disease that causes the hair to fall, and he is in a state where he is experiencing baldness, in this situation it is permissible for him to transplant hairs to cover the part of the baldness. This is not only considered to be changing the creation of Allah, but this is basically to do something to recover from shortcomings that he has. So in this situation, transplantation and transplanting any hair in this situation is permissible. So this is basically the answer to this question. Soalan menanyakan berkenaan dengan menanam rambut kepada kepala sebab ada penyakit. Satu orang dia ada penyakit, kepala dia botak, tidak ada rambut. Jadi dia menanyakan soalan, adakah dibolehkan kita menanam rambut? Maka dibolehkan kalau sekiranya dia memerlukan sedemikian, dan kalau sekiranya dia menghadapi penyakit tersebut yang mana menyebabkan kemudaratan di ke atas dirinya ataupun keaiban, maka tidak ada masalah di dalamnya, dengan syarat dia tidak menggunakan rambut yang najis dan juga rambut manusia. Nah, ini adalah soalan yang pertama. Soalan yang kedua menanyakan, Assalamualaikum Ustaz, Waalaikumsalam. Cleaning oneself after going to the bathroom. When one goes to the bathroom, is using toilet paper enough, or must one use water? What are the rulings surrounding toilet paper? JazakAllahu Khayran. Question is asking, a person goes into the bathroom and only use toilet paper. Is it valid in istinja? Yes, it's valid. A person, for example, only uses toilet paper. Only uses toilet paper. It is valid. Istinja is valid, but with conditions. With conditions. And this is mentioned by the author of Safinatul Najah. So for those of you who wants to look at the conditions, specifically go to the book Safinatul Najah in the first chapter. The author speaks about the conditions of using stones. Today we are using toilet paper. We do not use stones today, mostly. Because during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet encouraged us to use stones in istinja. And the Prophet praised the companions who combine stones with water. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent in the verses in the Quran, لَمَسْجِدٌ أُسِّسَ عَلَى التَّقْوَى مِنْ أَوَّلِ يَوْمٍ أَحَقُّ أَن تَقُومَ فِيهِ رِجَالٌ يُحِبُّونَ أَن يَتَطَهَّرُوا وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُطَّهِرِينَ. This is pertaining to the people of Quba. Allah sent in these verses, saying that Allah loves those who are pure. The Mufassirin mentioned the reason is that they combine stones with water. So today we are using toilet paper based on analogy, because the reason why the Prophet encouraged us to use stones, because stones have the capacity to remove filth. So anything that has the capacity to remove filth carries the ruling of the stones. Today our toilet paper, mashallah, is much better. It's much better. So it carries the ruling of removing filth. Thus it is a sunnah. So today if a person asks us what is the ruling of using toilet paper in istinja, we say it is a sunnah if you have water. It is a sunnah if you have water. But if you do not have water, it becomes wajib, because istinja is wajib. So in the situation that we are today, we enter into our toilets and at times we find toilet paper and water. That is the best. We use both. So we use toilet paper. Toilet paper removes the filth, and water removes the excess. Tamam? Water removes the excess. So it is a sunnah to use both. Both sunnah. But the question is asking, he wants to use one of them. Either you use any toilet paper or you use any water. Of course, water is better. If you only choose one, water is better. Because water has the origin of purification. Whereas toilet paper is permissible but they are excess. Toilet paper is not the same as water. But is it permissible to use any toilet paper only? Yes, it is permissible. So cases like if a person is outside and he enters into the toilet and there is no water. Nowadays shopping centers in Singapore, most shopping centers, Allahu Alam, I'm not any person who goes into a lot of shopping centers, but some shopping centers that I went to, almost all of the shopping centers I went to, there is no water. Inside in the cubicles, no water. Last time when I was studying in Poly also, Polytechnic, this is about 20 years ago, same concept. They have this concept not to make any toilets wet. So they decided not to put any taps in the cubicles. But there is always a tissue paper. There is always tissue paper. So if a person in a situation that he only has tissue paper, it is permissible only to use any tissue paper. But some of you might be asking, what about using the water, flush water? Can we use the flush water for istinja? Yes, we can. Because flush water is also pure. Flush water is also pure. With the condition you must flush first. So that all the filth goes away, khalas. Then the subsequent flush, the water is pure water. Because that is tap water basically. So we can either use toilet paper only, or we use toilet paper with the flush water. Some people, what they do is that they every time they enter into this kind of toilets they are very well prepared and they will take a bottle with them, empty bottle. I was working last time in Bugis. So in the office the cubicles have no water. So the people who are working in the office, what they do is that they will put a small cup in the cupboard. So every time they go into the toilet, they will fill up the cup with water for istinja. That is what you call it. That is better. Because some people they always have to do istinja with water. Without any water, people will not feel confident. But here when we speak about the rulings, we say can. If a person only use toilet paper, but there are conditions. Condition number one is that the filth must not be transported to other parts of the body. For example, if a person is urinating and parts of the urine hits other body parts. For example, the urine now is on the hips, for example. Now you cannot use tissue paper. It is compulsory for you to use water. So the first condition, the filth must not be transported to other body parts. Number two, when we use tissue paper, minimum there must be 3 times. 3 times minimum. Number three, the place of filth must be cleansed completely. Then only it is valid. But if a person uses tissue paper and there is excess of filth, it is not enough. So he has to do it more. Minimum 3 times. If 3 times does not make the place cleanse, we have to add number 4. We have to add number 5. We have to add number 6. We have to add number 7. And it is a sunnah to add with odd number. This based on the hadith. So we have to make sure that the place is cleansed and no water touches it. This is another thing. When you are using tissue paper only, we must make sure that there must be no touch of water at the place of filth. So that is why the questions that ask about wet tissue. It is not permissible to use wet tissue in istinja if you are only using wet tissue. Clear, inshallah. What is the reason? Because it is mixed with water, and it is not water that is mutlaq. It is mixed with water. Point number 1. And the condition is that if the water touches the place of filth, now it becomes compulsory for you to use any water. This is the condition, and you can refer to Safinatun Najah. This mentioned in Kitab Safinatun Najah. So some people they do not know this. They always use wet tissue only. Your istinja is not valid. Clear, inshallah. So there is a difference between using toilet paper and wet tissue. It's not the same. Earlier we were only speaking about toilet paper, not any wet tissue. But if a person is using water and wet tissue, then no problem. Yani if you are using wet tissue and then you are using water, no problem. But the problem is if you are only using any wet tissue, your istinja is not valid. But if you use tissue paper, the conditions comes in. That's what we mentioned. That there must be 3 times. The filth does not be transported to other body parts. No water touches the face in your filth, and it becomes cleanse. Tamam. Then we say the istinja is valid. So I hope it is clear, inshallah. So in the madhab of Imam Shafi'i, we have a choice whether we want to use toilet paper only, or we want to use any water only. The best is we combine. Tamam. But if a person wants to use tissue paper only, then he must take into the considerations that we have mentioned. Wallahu a'lam. The next question asking, Assalamualaikum Ustaz, wa alaikum assalam. First surah in the Quran. May I know why the first surah in the Quran is Al-Fatihah and not Surah Alaq? Since Al-Alaq is the first surah revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the question is asking, since the verses in Surah Al-Alaq were the first few verses revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why is it not mentioned in the beginning of the Quran? Why Surah Al-Alaq in the last juz of the Quran? And then Surah Al-Fatihah, which is not in the first surah revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is placed at the beginning of the Quran. Why is that so? The answer is simple, ya Jama'ah. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before he passed away, he arranged the Quran. The Prophet, he was the one who says that this surah must be the first, followed by this surah, followed by this surah. This is based on the sequence of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam he passed away, this sequence was known by the Sahaba, because they memorized the Quran during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by the sequence of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we say sami'na wa ata'na. Sami'na wa ata'na. Yani we listen and we obey. Now, so this sequence of the Quran is not based on ijtihad. It's not based of someone. For example, some people thought that Sayyidina Osman ibn Affan was the one who arranged. No. Sayyidina Osman ibn Affan was the one who compiled. So there is a difference. Just like Abu Bakr radiallahu an, Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu an, he compiled the Quran after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yani the first person to compile the Quran, Khalifatul Ula, Abu Bakr radiallahu an. Sayyidina Osman ibn Affan refined it. Sayyidina Osman ibn Affan during his time refined it and sent it to the Amsar. This is the beauty of Sayyidina Osman ibn Affan radiallahu an. And he is the one who wrote the Osmani writing. Until today, alhamdulillah, we recited the Quran by the blessing of this Sahabi. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him. Saya pun dah terlupa tadi nak terjemahkan bahasa Melayu ya. Tapi insyaAllah semua faham English insyaAllah ya. Jadi insyaAllah kita berhenti di sini. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adhaban nar. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.